This is a trigger warning for the following episode since we speak about mental health, so we will be speaking about some sensitive topics. This is also a disclaimer that we use some dark humour and bad words as well, so if this is not the podcast for you, you can scroll on, but if this sounds good to you, come in. So for our very first episode on Mental Health and Me, with me, Jenna, we have the amazing Jessica Khloe, and
Hi.
we are going to talk all things mental health, transitioning and everything in between. So, are we ready?
Ready.
Let's go. I can't laugh out because my Botox kicked in as well.
Stop, I was supposed to fucking get mine then and wrap on fucking my own one.
Right, okay, so this is our very first podcast on Mental Health and Me. So you are our very first guest. How do you feel?
I'm buzzing that you asked me. It's been like months in the making, so it hasn't like just hearing about everything, and I'm lured to be here.
So we were always meant to meet up for coffee. We've never met in real life.
No.
Kind of like the catfish, the GAA catfish story. We have had a relationship online
Just I didn't care
for years, but we are who we are. We were always meant to meet up for coffee, and it never happened. And I'm so glad now that it didn't, because we get to do this now.
I know.
And this is my first time hearing your story too. So for anyone that doesn't know Jessica, give us a wee intro on who you are.
Pressure.
No pressure.
I'm Jessica. Everybody just calls me Jess, and I'm just me. I'm just me. You take me how you find me, and I'm just happy in life, and just that's me. Just
You're amazing. Let me tell you how I found you on Instagram. So I was scrolling one day a few years ago, and it was a PT that was on my feed, and he posted with a client photo shoot. You were the client in the photo shoot, and I was like, oh my god, look how tall she is, and she's embracing her height, because I feel like I'm tall, so I always used to wear like flat shoes on nights out and stuff, because I always felt so tall. And my boyfriend at the time, when I was 17, he was really small, so I tried to match his level, and I was like, she's so confident, who is this girl? So went down and then followed, and that was grand. And then a few weeks later, you posted a transformation, a before and after, and your before was nothing like your after, because your before was actually male.
yes, I remember what you're on about now.
Do you
I have
know-
loads of them, so I know what you're talking about now.
So this was a few years ago, and I nearly died. I had no idea. So I've always known you as female.
Mm-hmm.
So at what point then, when you were growing up, did you start to feel, this doesn't feel like me, this is not the body I'm meant to be in?
I think for me it was just like it's always been there. So it has that I've always been like who I am now on the outside. I've always felt like that on the inside. So for me, I realised when I was 6 years of age that not that the cliche to say something wasn't right. Just something just didn't seem normal. I just didn't feel like a normal boy. Wasn't interested in doing male orientated things or boy orientated things at the time. I just didn't feel comfortable. I just didn't feel comfortable in my skin. I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel like I identified anywhere in the male form at all. And just as I got older then, it was about 11 or 12, I realised then who I was. It's like, no, there's something not right here. It's like I was doing research, like I was even going to the library and everything, going online, researching my thoughts, my feelings, looking at online forums. Then I came across, obviously people were saying like my feelings were matching with being transgender. And then like just the more I looked back on my life and the more I was looking forward, I was like, that's correct. Like that's how I feel.
Now.
I don't feel like how I was born. I don't
Yeah.
feel how I was identifying at the time. There was always something, there was like a feminine trait about me. There was always something that just didn't click in my head, and I was like always like, why am I always feeling like this? And then when I came across like other people who were feeling the exact same as me, and then the more then I researched into like obviously what being what trans was and how it can make you feel and how your thought process can be, it just aligned everything for me. So it was like a big click in my head. And then everything that I was like feeling when I was younger, now that I'm getting older, I feel like I was suppressing.
Yeah.
It was all feminine traits that I should have been a girl from the get-go.
So you had that main light bulb moment when you were around 12, would you say?
Mm-hmm.
Did you speak to your parents about it then?
Completely suppressed everything from everybody right up to I was 20.
So how were you able to do that?
I honestly don't know. I actually don't know how I did it, to be honest with you.
So now when your parents are looking back, did they ever say to you, we had an inkling that, you know, you weren't 100% happy or anything like that? Or did you suppress it that well that
No,
you
I think I
actually
was
had
good
it
at
that well?
suppressing it that well. So it's because I was always one of them kids that was just very in my own space, in my own bubble. So I was like, I didn't grow up running around with many people. So I didn't, and it was really, really, it was like easy for me to a point. So it was especially when I realised who I was going through my teenage years,
Yeah.
it was like just easy to suppress who I was because it was just like common nature for me. But then it was like a pressure cooker moment when I got to my 20s. When I got that, it was just after I turned 20. I turned 20 in April. So it was around June, July time. Then it was like a pressure cooker moment where I was like, no, I can't do this. And I was speaking to my friend from Belfast and she knew and a couple other people from around
That's
here
what I was just
knew.
about to say. Did you ever confide into any friends, even if you didn't say to your parents, did you ever say to them, look, I feel a wee bit, this is not my identity kind of thing?
I had that. So I was actually, funnily enough, I was out in the night out in Sugar and I was absolutely like, I was full on like steaming drunk.
As you do, and sugar, RIP sugar.
I and I was like telling all like the friends that was there. So like there was three friends I was out with that night, and this feels so long ago. Like I haven't really spoke about this in such a long time, so it's so weird to bring all this
Aye.
back up. I think the last time I was speaking about this was like on a podcast with Tara Gibbons. Remember I
Well,
was
only if you
telling you
feel
about that?
comfortable.
No, fine about it. No, it's fine. And so I was again, rub sugar. I was sitting there, and you know the wee red section in the bottom by the top bar. It was
Yes.
like all red lights, and
Yeah.
like all like that dodgy
Aye.
gold backdrop. Everybody had their coats in, so they
Aye.
didn't want to pay £2 for the
Aye.
coat room.
Aye.
So we were all sitting there. I was full blood drunk, and I just turned around and said, "Look, I can't keep this anymore. I have a secret, and like I just need to tell someone." And they were all there, and I was like, "Look, I'm transgender. I've been feeling like I'm in the wrong body basically my whole entire life, and I want my body to align with how I feel on the inside." And straight away, support.
That's
They're like,
amazing.
"We'll help you. We'll get you through this. We'll get you in a kind of support."
Especially considering being in the middle of sugar, being so drunk. If that was me, I would have said, wise up. Speak about it tomorrow, sober up, why are you going on like that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the fact that they were supportive from them, maybe they did have a feeling that you weren't
Possibly
100% happy in yourself.
It's like a conversation I never really had with my friends, and like how I was beforehand. Really, because that's what I'm saying. I was just so like into myself that I didn't really express anything to do with my identity to them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like any of my friends at the time like had like any notions or any inklings at all, but maybe they did. But I remember then the next day I woke up to the messages from all of them being like, "Do you remember what you said last night? And are you okay?" And I was like, "What are you on about?"
Oh no.
And then I was
Be like, jokes, I am actually
that's
not.
exactly what I was like. Look, folks, I was absolutely drunk that day. It was just a vulnerable moment I
You
had.
did say that.
Don't take me on. I was like, no, don't take me on. Like, that was a vulnerable moment. I don't even know what came across me to even tell you and stuff. I was like, shit. Did I actually that's not the way I wanted it to be. And then I think it was like a couple of nights later, we were all out again, absolutely steaming drunk. And I said it again.
So the common theme is alcohol makes you speak the truth.
Aye.
That's what they say.
Like back then, like I was like party days, like going out like maybe 3-4 nights a week. Like that was all I really could do in Derry at the time, was just go out and socialise with your friends.
And especially when you were suppressing all this from when you say maybe around 6 you started feeling a bit. There has to be a time when
I was like a pressure cooker moment. It's like the pressure was just like the top of it was just about to pop off. Like that's how it felt inside my head.
Aye.
And same thing again. Literally woke up the next day and it was like, what's the crack we like? I'm not saying my old name, but they were like, "What's the crack we? Are you alright?" Like you says this again, like that's 2 times, and I was like, I really don't know why I'm telling you since this here. This must be like just like a mad notion I'm having when I'm drunk to say something like this, and that when was it then? I'd say I'd been saying like another maybe a week or so later. Went out again with the same set of friends, and I just went to him. I was like, "Look, can't keep this in no longer. It is true.
Mm.
Like, I am trans and I want to live my life authentically. I am, and how I feel on the inside, I feel female. I feel like a woman, and that's how I want to present on the outside. And then I was like, are you actually sure? Are you being serious? Is this 100%? And I was like, I can't keep it in no longer.
Yeah.
So I asked them friends at the time, and they obviously keep it to themselves because I wasn't out to my family yet. It wasn't really public, and it wasn't common for someone to come out in that way back then. Like,
Yeah.
Derry wasn't so open
No.
back then. I would say it's more open now, but I would say there's still a lot more work to do.
Oh my God, still a massive stigma.
Yeah.
Huge. No matter what anyone says, no matter how many posts are posted, there is stigma against it still, and mental health in general, which is the whole point of doing this podcast.
Yeah.
But going back to so obviously growing up and trying to figure out who you are as a teenager is hard enough anyway. Like, I went through a full emo phase. Not that I am comparing transgender to emo, but like, I dyed my hair jet black. I was locked in my room rapping Eminem, and my sisters were running around the house with bows in their hair dancing to Westlife. So my mum and daddy were like, what is going on? Was she alright? No, I'm not alright, and I'm still not alright. I was just trying to discover myself, but
that's what you do in your teenage years and like your
But that only
adolescence.
lasted a few weeks.
You find yourself, you discover
So
yourself.
this is what I mean about discovering yourself then. So that's, for you, the final end to your old life was when you were 20. Is that right?
I wouldn't even really say my old life, because obviously apart from like the exterior, I'm a very outgoing, bubbly, confident person.
So your personality has never ever changed?
And see, when I came out, like I told everybody, it's just, I am me, and I'm always going to be me, but it's just going to be more glam, in a way.
Aye.
That's the easiest way to put it out. But
So did you always have female friends then, never male friends?
I did have male friends, but most of my friends, I would say, are all female orientated. Even before I came out, my friends were all female orientated. I don't know if that was, I still don't know why, but like maybe that would have been more of like a comfort thing, because it was like they are who I want, who I feel in the inside, but I just still didn't feel like I could tell anyone anything, and it just got to a point then, as it says, the pressure cooker moment just hit them, because it was starting to get to a point then where that pressure cooker moment, as it says, it just was really hitting then on the mental health side of me too. Like, it just felt like the more this pressure was building up in my head, the more these other feelings were coming out, where I was feeling down, I was feeling depressed, I was so introverted, I just didn't want to see or speak to anybody.
And you were still trying to continue on your life with this more or less like what felt like a lie, without telling anyone. So what age did you tell your mum and dad at?
I didn't tell them directly. They found out on Facebook.
What do you mean? Tell me everything.
So the morning, as I said, I was speaking to my friend from Belfast, and like she knew about it as well, because I confided in her. So at this point, certain people who I was very close with knew, and I asked them not to tell nothing until either they seen something public on social media, or that I've told them that I've spoke to my family.
Okay.
So back when I came out, I don't know if you're familiar with this person, Caitlyn Jenner. So from Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Never heard of her.
So she's also trans, so she is as well. And I was around just after turning 20, and she came out as trans, like obviously on her show, on social media, came out to all her family, obviously before it came out on social media.
That's right, it was like a cover page, wasn't it?
For Vanity Fair.
Aye, that's what
For
it was.
Vanity Fair. And what was it then? She was doing there was like a segment in the show of her coming out on the Keeping Up with the Kardashians, like back, and I was obsessed with them.
Yeah.
Absolutely obsessed with them. And she said that she was 65 years of age when she came out. And she loved her whole entire life, just living this suppressed life. And I just looked and I was like, I can't do that.
You don't want to.
Because initially, I know it's going to sound so bad to say, because like my parents were so young as well, like they're both only like in their 50s. And I was initially going to wait until my parents passed away.
Oh, really?
To tell them. And
why were you afraid to tell them, or did you think
it's because it's from a societal point of view, and especially like where I'm from, it's like I didn't want to. I didn't want to either be like a disappointment to my family, and I didn't want them to be going out and people giving them it's like any like hit or
Isn't
abuse
that
or
really
anything
sad though
like
that
that.
you think about that before you would want to bring anything back onto your family? Because it's not an easy thing. I mean, there is someone in my family who transitioned male to female 25 years ago. So in my head, I always used to, people would say, not to this person, but if I hear people in general going, oh, that's just a phase, or, in 10 years they'll want to turn back. And so I sit and think, 25 years ago, it was not heard of. So the fact that you're going to go ahead and live your life like that, put your life at risk and your family's life at risk, really shows that that's who you want to be. Do you know what I mean?
It's like a safety aspect to it too as well. It's like sometimes for me, like there was times like going through my teenage years, I wanted to come out, but it was more like, no, don't do it yet, because you'll not be safe. You won't be
Okay.
safe at all. But I'll never ever in my life forget that I was up lying in my bedroom, and my mum and dad were downstairs, and I was speaking to my friend Shannon from Belfast, and like
Are
it's
you an only
insane.
child?
No, I've got an older brother as well, so I
You
do.
never said anything to him?
Yes, I actually did.
Right.
I told him, I think it was a couple of days before, I told him through a text message. He was actually working in Scotland at the time.
Text messages are always easier.
Oh, it was. So, but my brother's a very like plain sailing, like straightforward person. So he is like, you can tell him something and he'd be like, look, see, as long as you're happy
Aye.
and as long as you're not going to get hurt,
Well,
or
that's
as long as
amazing.
you're safe, just do what you need to do, but you need to tell me,
Yeah.
mum and dad. And I was like, fuck. Like, and then, so as I was saying, so I speak to my friend from Belfast, and like, I had this whole, I mean, like, you could have sold this in the journal, like the big, massive status to go on Facebook. It's like at the time, Instagram and Twitter wasn't a thing, maybe like 10 years ago. Like, all
Oh,
I
so
had was
this was the night
Facebook.
you posted it, and so you didn't say directly? You didn't? Okay, right,
No,
okay.
this is the day I was posting it. So I had the post. I sent it to my friend Shannon, told her to read it and be like, "Look, what do you think of this? Is there anything you think like I should have?" Because like at the time she knew me like inside out. She
Yeah.
knew what I was going through. I was like really confiding in her, like expressing how I was feeling, and she was like, "No, there's 100% perfect," and
Right.
I'll never forget it because I says to her, I was literally sitting it and I was like this,
Oh my God.
literally sitting like this here with my phone, going like that there.
I could just
And I was
imagine.
like, I can't do this. No, I can't do
But
it. Not today. I'm not
if your
doing
mom
it
and daddy
today.
thought you were feeling like that as well, so scared and so afraid and, literally shaking, maybe that would have hurt them more.
Possibly.
That the fact that their child was feeling like that, because as a mother, you only want your child to be happy.
I know.
That's literally all you want.
It was
So-
it was tough. So it was. It was tough to suppress it into my mum and dad because like I was very open and honest always with my mum and dad. So that's just the one thing
Aye.
I couldn't tell them growing up. It was the one thing that I couldn't tell them at all.
So you have post? You posted the status?
Before I had post, I says to my friend, "No, I'm going to wait a couple more days. I just need to settle a bit." And she turned around and says to me, "If you don't do it, I will."
Oh God, right.
And I was like, I need to do like I need to do it. And then I remember as soon as I did it, I had post. And see when I tell you there was 14 stairs in my house, I didn't touch a single one of them. I just passed my driving test. I bent over down them stairs, out my gate, legged it over to my car, and I got onto my 3-door Corsa, flew over to my friend's house, and I stayed there. And I was like, because he knew about it, and I was
Yeah.
like, look, I've just posted it, I've made it public. And he's like, did you tell your mum and dad? And I was like, no, they're going to find out through Facebook. And my
Can you
parents,
remember the wording of it? Like what, briefly, like what did it say? Did it...
see, to be honest with
remember?
you, I really honestly can't, 'cause it was 10 years ago,
Aye.
nearly 10 years ago. It was more in detail of like, for as long as I can remember, I haven't been living authentically. I've been feeling how I am, and after a lot of like research into myself, speaking to people, I've I've come to realize that I am not who I was born to be. I am a female, and I am I'm she, I'm her. It was basically along the lines of that, and that I hope, and I wrote about like I hope that everybody can accept me.
Yeah.
It's like as if I was seeking validation.
Yeah.
And I remember just driving the whole way over to his house. My head was just absolutely spinning. I don't even remember driving over.
Aye.
So I live on the water side. And like I drove over the fire bridge and all the way down to his house, and like I don't remember none of the drive. All I could remember is just the feeling of, oh my god,
Fear.
that's up on the internet and that's up there forever. Everybody knows now. As soon as they read that, everybody knows about
Yeah.
me. And we're in such a small, narrow-minded, backward city back then,
Yeah.
10 years ago. And I remember, I'd say it wouldn't even have been about 45 minutes later. I was just sitting there like rocking back and forth, being like,
Waiting for a
oh
phone
my
call.
god. I was so happy, and the weight was lifted off my shoulders that secret is finally out. It was literally just like, oh my god, I cannot believe I've just done this. Everybody knows about me. I was so happy
Aye.
to get it out, but then I knew I had a long road ahead of me.
Yeah.
But then, not even a while later, I get a phone call, obviously from my father.
Right.
You need to get back to this house now. And I was like, no, Dad, I can't. I really honestly can't. And he turned around and says, if you don't come back to this house now, I'm coming over and I'll be dragging you back. So you've got two options: either come over yourself or I'm dragging you back. He obviously knew where I was.
So did he drag you back?
No,
Did
I
you
went
go?
over. No, I'm one of them ones that like, if my parents told me to do something, you respect them. So
Yeah.
you respect your elders, you do it like. So I went back and I remember my mommy was just sitting there, just casually watching TV, the leg going up and down just like this here. She looked at me like that there. And I looked at her and the tears betting at me.
Oh.
My dad lying in the corner just rocking back and forth, back and
Your daddy
forth.
was?
He
Aye.
really, really struggled with it.
Mm.
Being like, no child of mine's doing this here. Like, you're not my child, I'm not doing this here, I can't do this here.
Right.
My mom is just sitting there being like, is this really what you want? Is this really what you need? And I was like, it's not what I want, it's who I am.
Right.
It's not what I need, it's what I've always been. It's who I'm always been. I just need to get it out.
But I suppose for them as well, because you probably had suppressed that so well for so many years, that is a shock to them. They're sitting going,
100%.
is this a phase that they're going through? Or, because out of the blue, really, if you think about it, for them it was, for you, it was nearly a lifetime.
I always said my biggest entire regret out of my entirety of my transition, from the minute I told the very first person to even the day, it'll always be my biggest regret in my entire life to the day I take my last breath, that I never told my parents to their face. Because they, in a way, they deserve that too.
That's what I was going to say. Speaking as a parent, I'm trying to think, if my child done that, I would nearly feel disrespect. I would nearly feel like shame in the fact that they couldn't come to me, but they can tell everybody else, kind of thing.
Which is valid. It is fair to say, so it is.
But that's the only way that you felt that you could
when
communicate
you're in
that
moment. See, when
with
you're
them.
in that moment, Jenna, it was like, it's just so hard to, it's just so hard to like even think of going back to that far.
Aye.
Just to that day, just, that's what I'm saying, just that moment of like that physical feeling of just pure anxiety, just pure fear, pure shaking, and just...
But that also reminds me as well, one of my sisters fell pregnant. She was 21, grown woman, and she was crying like, I can't tell my mum and dad, I'm afraid, I'm terrified, I don't want to, you do it, me. And I was like, right, we'll go down. And like my mommy was cooking dinner all over, and I was like, this woman's life is going to be traumatized because her 21-year-old daughter is going to have a baby. So we told her, and it was tears and crying and whatever. But again, everybody's alive, everybody's healthy, and everybody's happy. So after the initial shock of after them finding that out about you, what happened next then?
So I think too as well, when you're mentioning shocks, well, like, it was obviously a shock for me because like I was feeling every single emotion that day. Like I was so happy. I was feared that I was going to lose my family. So I was absolutely feared that I was going to lose my family, lose all my loved ones, and just that day, like it was just oh my god, like just pure mad.
Aye.
So it was just pure mad, and just, so I think just over time, it took about, I would say, an easy 6 months for things to like settle down. And like if I walked into a room, like my dad, God love him, like at the time, like I never really understood why. Cause like I was still so young, like I was just beginning in my 20s, like so like even in your 20s you're still discovering yourself, you're still finding yourself. And anytime I went into a room, he would have got up and left. He just couldn't look at me. So I couldn't, and he just...
But that must have been awful for you as well, though. You must have felt such shame.
Aye. Not even shame. It's just, I just felt so lost. Like I just felt like I lost my daddy.
Aye.
So I did. I just felt like I lost him because he didn't want to look at me. It's like he didn't want to know who I was. And literally just over time then, because he did initially think that it was a phase, and then just over time when he seen me like obviously going through my real life experience, like getting out there and being who I was and seeing how happy I was then, the more he realised then that like it wasn't a phase.
Aye.
And he just realised like that's me win.
So it was a bit harder for your daddy, but what about your mommy? Was she...
My mommy was all like, I would definitely say like from the get go, like my mother was supportive. She was in the same mindset too, that it was she worrying like was it a phase as well? And it's again understandable, it's a shock for them, so like they have a right to have these feelings as well. And just literally over time, over the course of like my transition, when I was progressing on to things and like obviously like doing speech therapy, starting HRT.
So that's what I was just going to come on to next. How do you even begin then the transition? Like,
I didn't know.
Is there a set thing that you need to follow? You don't just walk under your doctor and say, I want to transition. You didn't know?
I actually honestly didn't have a clue what to do. I didn't have a clue where to go or anything.
Well, suppose this was 10 years ago. We don't have access to the information back then that we do now, or the support groups or anything like that.
Yeah, like there was always support there. So there was a few groups about. So there was like I didn't even know anything about any of them until like obviously I started getting into like really getting into the process of my transition, and as I'm saying, like I didn't know what to do or where to go, and I just thought to myself, just book an appointment with your doctor. It's the only thing that I could think of to do. So booked an appointment, but I ended up booking an appointment with my nurse, and I went in there and I says to her, like, look, I've just recently come out as transgender and I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go, and I need help. Like I need support. I don't know what to do. She ended up saying herself, she was like at the time, I'll just still say Jess, just like, so I don't want to say my old name, but like at the time she was like, look, Jess, well, I don't know either. So she didn't really know either, so she ended up referring me to the doctor. And then
why did you go to the nurse first?
I actually don't know. I actually don't even know.
I
don't even know why I didn't go to the nurse. I think probably because like the nurse I went to, she's retired now, Nurse Linton. I felt more comfortable around her to express, like, because anyway, like I was coming out to my doctor's practice too. Like, so it was like, it's like at that point, like I was so drained from telling so many people and like having so many conversations about it. And so I spoke to the nurse, and then the nurse is like, just going to have to refer you to the doctor and see what they can do, because I really don't know. So I ended up getting referred then to the doctor, and the doctor then, literally I told them too, I would say there was an easy like 3 to 5 minute silence, and I was just sitting there and all you're hearing is just off the keyboard, and I'm sitting there and they're looking at me and I'm sitting there like...
You're on the hormones. Hormones are raging. What is your mental health like around that time?
It was very mixed. Like I was like so happy. Like I was absolutely buzzing. I'm like, oh my god, this is like the biggest step of my transition. Like this is going to mean so much physical change for me. But I was sitting thinking, I was like, I just realised then, I was like, these are really going to wreck with my brain. And I need to really be careful. I really need to make sure that I'm like really listening to my body and listening to every emotion that I have. Really at the start of taking the hormones, I was very emotional. Like if I seen like somebody falling or if something happened, like literally...
Sorry, would you cry? Because I would laugh.
I would laugh now, like, but not actually. But
That's why I'm going to help.
So no, same. We'll hold hands, but no, like so. Anything, even like if someone down to like if one of my eyelashes come out, or if I like think to myself like that, like I was in tears, crying, like so I was, and it was. I really had to learn how to manage my emotions with hormones because it just happened so easily, and then especially when they upped my dosage in my Hatertix, I started off on 2 milligram, and then they doubled me to 4. I really felt it then. But
Why
then,
not crank you up? Like, just crank it up, make it even worse for her.
so just put me through it.
Did you have, as if life hasn't hard enough, did you have any anxiety or depression that developed then?
I think I had a lot of anxiety more than I wouldn't say that I had depression as much, but I would definitely say there was a lot of anxiety there because it was like very much unknown territory. Because like they were doing great so far, but because the dosage was being doubled, I was like, right, does this mean things is going to happen quicker? Why is this not happening now? Why am I not seeing this a lot quicker? Because I'm doubled in dosage. Why am I not like? Why am I not seeing this happen so quick? And then like I really had to realize that it wasn't going to happen overnight. But then when I was realizing that wasn't happening, I really became conscious in my body. Then I was like, there is things developing, there is things changing, but I'm like, it just made me feel very like I didn't want not that it, not. I know it's going to sound so bad for me saying this, but like I didn't want to like reveal myself. I didn't want to wear like things that would show off like how can I put it? Like the way my body's changed in a way. Because like back when I started my transition, that's what I'm saying. Like I was wearing shirt dresses as jackets and like t-shirts and tight jeans and heels. You know, like I didn't like I at the time I fought like and I felt myself like that. I thought that was me.
You wanted to shy away then nearly with the hormones, but that kind of makes sense because when I'm ovulating for 5 days, like I will be strutting my stuff. We're going into the shops, I'm waving to everyone hello. But on the week of my period, don't look at me. I'm covering. Don't look at my ass either when I'm walking past. I'll kill you. You know, so getting used to that, them waves and.
It was just like over time then, as I'm saying, like when my body changed and like I was heavily involved in the gym and all, like so I was really trying to improve myself in so many ways, physically, mentally and emotionally. I had to learn to deal and cope with that anxiety and like really like give myself a lot of self reassurance that like I'm okay, like I'm developing, my body's changing, I'm evolving, and I need to realise that this is a process. And then the more I realised then that it was a process, the anxieties never really like went away, but it was going less and less and less. So it was, but it's always been there. Like I'm always like conscious, like, do I look good? Like I'm sure you're like this too. Like whenever like you're feeling good about yourself, but you're like, do I look good in this? Like you're asking like all your girlfriends and all like, oh, do I look alright? Like, does this look okay, mate?
Which picture should I post? 1, 2, 3, or 4, and they all look the same. I think we all.
But they
go
also
through that.
looks different. Like I think especially too when it's us. Like if there's like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they're like, I go for number 4. It's like.
No, I might like 2 better.
Number 2 is better, like going just like, but then you find someone then wrong with number 2, but then you're like, it's the best out of a bad bunch. So it is, but no.
But so is this something that you were able to manage yourself, or did you have any support groups? Did you ever have to go on any type of like antidepressant or medication or anything like that to help you through them times?
I was on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication actually way before I started transitioning.
Right, okay.
But it was because of the pressure of not being authentic. I was on them, and then I eventually weaned myself off them, and I can sit here and say that I haven't been on anything like that since.
Well, that's amazing.
So I haven't, but I wouldn't sit and say that like it's never going to happen again. I know it's amazing, but like it still can be very tough. There has been points in my life where I've been like, maybe I really should consider like on back of medication to help me cope or to help me deal with things. But at the moment, it's just everything seems fine. So it does, but that's what I'm saying. Like there has been them moments in my life where like I've got to the point where it would probably just be easier just if my existence just was wasn't here. Like it would just be easier for me just not to exist rather than trying my best to exist in a world that's telling me that I shouldn't. And that to me.
So it was nearly easier for you to not be here. You felt like a burden to your family and friends.
Everybody, I felt it's not even just to my family and friends. I just felt like a burden to everybody with a societal point of view that I just didn't exist, and that's a big pressure. That's a very big pressure, so it is. And to even sit here today in a world that the man right now, even more than ever, is still telling me not to exist.
Aye.
Not being big-headed about myself and all, but I would consider myself very, very fucking brave.
Yeah, you're so brave and you're so confident, and that's why I love you. Like when you post, I would like love, heart, fire emoji. I just love everything that you stand for, and it just shows that you have been through so much shit. You could have turned into such a better person, but you haven't.
I could have been such a recluse and still done what I did and just like, no, go and stay away from me, going, what are you on about? Like, going,
But
leave me
you
alone.
are a life lover because you've been at rock bottom and you never want to be there again. So happiness is so important to you.
I think the thing I have is like I have such a broad mindset on it, the fact that like, yeah, I'd never plan to be at rock bottom again.
No.
But it's like, one of big terms, like never say never, but if it does ever happen again, I know what I need to do to get myself back up, and it's...
I think we all need to hit a rock bottom sometimes so that we know that the
And
only way is up.
nobody's rock bottom's the same.
No.
It's really not. Because I'm sure you in your time, like, you've had them moments where it's like, when you've had your rock bottom and you're like, where the fuck do I go from here? I don't know what to do.
Like, there was no other way out except for not being here for me at a stage.
How did you deal with that? Like, how did you deal when you hit your rock bottom? What was your thought process, and how did you feel like you were going to cope with getting out of that rock bottom?
It was a really tough one for me because I had all the support of my family when I was going through it. Like, I had a son who was healthy and who loved me, and it was just me. Like, I just felt like this burden, and I was constantly saying to my sisters, I don't think that I should be here. It just shows how mentally unwell that I was to even have them conversations.
In a world full of love and everybody around you, you still feel alone. You feel like you're the only one. I still felt
so lonely. Like, my sisters were trying to give me advice on divorce, who they had never gone through divorce. They had tried to give me advice on losing a business, what they would do, but they'd never lost a business. You know, things like that. And at the time it wasn't helpful. It was actually more damaging because it was like, wise up, get up, man, up the quay walk. And I was literally like being spoon fed because I was so down, and I was like, I can't live like this anymore.
You get them moments to, like, I don't know if you've ever had this before, but it's like, and I never like take it away from people that I know and that I love and stuff, but some people like sometimes think that they're saying the right thing, but they're probably not. It's like when somebody says to people like, oh, it's a bad day, you'll be grand. Well, I appreciate hearing that, and I love knowing that you're there for me, but that's not what I need to hear at the minute.
Aye.
And
I had this conversation with my older sister only last week because she would have been the tough love sister.
Yeah.
I had a soft love sister who would be like, it's okay, I'll hug you, mum, lie and cry with me. And my older sister was like, I'm not staying with you tonight. You're staying on your own. You're doing it yourself. You need to learn to love like this, and this is your new life kind of thing. So I was saying to her at the time, I felt that she was attacking me. Some of her advice wasn't great for me either, because at the end of the day, how is she going to give me advice on divorce if she's never been through it? You know, I'm going to Dubai now in April. Were you in Dubai?
No.
No. So why would I ask you your advice on Dubai on what to do, where to go, where's the best places to eat? So now I obviously you have your certain people who you can talk to things about.
Everybody has like their friends and they have their groups and stuff. But like it's okay to have like them couple of groups of friends that you can go to for like certain things instead of like having like just that one big group. Like you have like 3 or 4 in one group, 4 or 5 in another group. Like it's natural for everybody to have that.
No.
And like you don't need to seek support from every specific friend group every time. Like you can go to like one friend group for support or another friend group. Like everybody has them, and that's like it's absolutely okay. Like so like I do agree with what you're saying. It can be quite tough, so it can as well when like you're getting asked a question based on something that you've never actually been through yourself. But sometimes even trying your best to give that advice, some people really would appreciate that. It's like a lot of my friends would come to me, like if there was ever a problem, like if there was like a relationship problem
Aye.
or they needed someone to confide in if there was something going wrong in their life. And even if I haven't been through it, I would say to them, look, I've never been through this before. I'll sit and listen.
You can
I'll be a
listen.
sound ear. And if I can offer any guidance or advice in any way, I will try my best to help. But maybe I'm not the right person
Same.
for
That's the
that
way I
chat.
am. That's the way I am now. So we went off on one there.
That was your fault.
It's always my fault.
Don't blame me.
Always my fault. But I wanted to speak to you about dating. So what does dating look like for you? Are you on it? Dating apps? Are you single?
Yes, I'm
single?
very much single at the minute. Any potential stay on, please.
Me too.
Separately though. Separately.
No, we don't come as a package. So you're single.
Oh my god.
We can though.
That'll be some package.
We can for the right price. Like I would do anything for £1. Let's be normal.
You charge £1? Fucking it up my game.
Hi. So you're single.
Mm-hmm.
Are you dating? Are you taking time for yourself? What's your
It's
dating?
a mixture of the two, to be honest with you, Jenna. Like, I'm just like, if it happens, it happens. I'm not putting any pressure on it at the minute, but years ago I was like, I would have went with people to try and like build a connection, to try and start something,
Yeah.
because like I pictured myself now by 30, like married, settled down, lovely wee house somewhere, and in the process of adopting kids. Like that was always my goal, my plan. And I'm sitting here 30 years of age, as single as anything or anyone. And
So
I can't even get a
mine.
bloody text back.
Same, and I'm 36. So, do you know, I just don't like this whole world of dating.
Like if I text somebody first saying, hey, I'm blocked,
You what?
I'd be blocked.
If you take someone first? Why? What do you mean?
Just some people fail to read my bio. And I'm very
Oh,
open
right.
on my bios.
That's what I was going to ask. Are you upfront?
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
I'm all for people being like, if they don't want to reveal straight away for their own safety, that's fine. But for me personally, I have it from the get-go
Right.
that I'm an open trans woman, I'm a post-op trans woman, and that I'm an HRT. I always say these things because at the end of the day, like, I know people would fetishize people about me in my community, so there'd be a big, it's like a fetish.
Yeah.
So it would, and for me, I don't like being seen as a fetish. But years ago, for me to have like that need met in my life, like that intimate level of need met in my life,
Yeah.
I would have went along with it. So like for me, dating and relationship type things would have been very much behind closed doors. Don't
Right.
tell anybody that this happened or there's
So
consequences.
you were being kept as a secret?
Yep.
Aye. So,
And it was tough. I think there was only ever one time, maybe two times at most, that somebody wasn't ashamed to like go out in public with me, like either holding my hand or
Aye.
taking me out somewhere. Like I've never had like a proper date where I've been like took for dinner or
that's
took
really sad though, because
things
everyone
like that.
deserves to be loved and have your dates and be shown off. And
But you know something, see for the void of that there, like I know it's not like a full comparison, but like in a void of that, like I have a lot of friends and family who love me and support me
Aye.
and who do things like going like we did days and stuff
Aye.
like that there, and that really does fill the void 'cause it makes me feel loved. The
Aye.
only thing that I want in my life is to feel loved, and I've only recently, over the last couple of years especially, discovered that loving yourself is the most purest thing that you can ever do in your life.
Loving yourself and the love of your family and friends is what I didn't. I always thought, right, I needed a man. I need to have a man.
I was
partner.
the same. I felt like that need you need.
Aye.
But no, babes, you don't need
No,
that.
I've been single now for a year, and I'm at the stage now where I'm so happy being single. I love being able to go home after work, taking all my makeup off, not looking like myself, putting on my big baggy t-shirt and being ugly in peace, and not having to text someone. And look, I would like down the line a good strong relationship, but it has to be a good strong one. And that's going to be really hard to find in this day and age, I feel.
I find, especially for women in general, dating is exceedingly tough. So it is. But then when you put being identifying as trans on top of that, then
Yeah.
it's 10 times more. That's in my personal opinion. I feel like it's far more tough. It's far more heavy
Yeah.
because you've got like some people wouldn't either know because they failed to read like your information or
Yeah.
failed to read your bio, and
then that must hurt your confidence then, though.
it would have years ago, but more now because I've
That
got
would
like a
knock
lot of
me off.
self confidence in myself and
Yeah.
self reassurance and self love.
Yeah.
I'd be sitting there being like, well, try go fuck yourself. It's your loss. Like at the end of the day, you're losing something great here. I know
You're right.
I know I'm great. I know I'm a fucking 10. Like,
I love
And
it. Aye.
we should all realize that we're all 10s.
So
So we should, and just never settle for anything less than what you're worth.
I think that's why I've been single for a year. And then obviously because I knew I wanted to do the podcast, but my confidence and my self-esteem was so low that I had to go to self-esteem courses and stuff. And then that's whenever I started building up a self-love, and I'd never had that before. So I started looking in the mirror and going, oh my God, I kind of fancy myself today a wee bit. Whereas those words would never come out of my mouth. I would look in the mirror and go, don't like
you
this.
sitting really
Don't like this.
Yeah.
Don't like. Where now I am so confident that I honestly don't care.
Mm.
If I meet someone amazing, that would be great to have a good life partner to go on journey or to go and travel with and to go on dates with.
Experience life.
But also, if I don't, I have my sisters and my nieces who are the 26, they're old. We go on date nights, we go to the cinema, we do all that.
That's
and
what I love.
have so much love.
I have my friends that I do that at the moment with, and it's just, that's what I'm saying. It's like that there is filling that need.
Void, aye. Really, like, aye.
I think we're blessed to have like that wee network. And that
well, I mean, we all have needs.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies have needs as well.
Mm-hmm.
But not that much that you would lower your value.
No, 100%.
For anyone.
Babes, if you're 10, no lower.
We're 11. So you get the referral to the doctor. They're typing away.
Mm-hmm.
What did they say to you?
There was literally nothing that they could say. Like, all they could say is, look, we've got a referral fee now to this clinic going up now. They'd be able to help you in more, like, better detail.
Right.
Didn't tell me where the clinic was. Nothing like that there. Ended up then getting this letter through the door. You've been referred to Knockbracken Healthcare Park, in the house in Belfast, for the transgender clinic services. Literally went down, got introduced to one of the therapists down there, and literally then for literally the next few years then it was just in detail sessions just about like how I'm feeling, how do I feel going forward, how do I feel looking back in comparison to now, and then I had to go through all these processes to get where I needed to be. So I had to do a thing called RLE, which is real life experience.
Right.
And that means basically living in, as they called it back then, I don't know what it'd be like now, but it was called your preferred gender.
Okay.
So they basically says to me I had to live and express and identify as female for 2 years in order for me to progress forward. So which I did, and I had to document it all.
So that's another thing that I was going to say. I did hear that's what you had to do. Could you have not went on at that stage and been like, well, I have been living like that this past 10 years?
No, because then you had to document it. So they wanted they had to like actually physically see you experiencing, loving,
right.
and they had to recognise that. So that's where social media come into play.
Right.
It was so good. So I already started my real life experience, so it did. So ended up I had all that there over the course of a couple of years, and then they were speaking to me about like how I wanted to progress, and I was like, well, I want to progress medically in my transition. So the next stage then was speech therapy. So obviously I had to go down in the city hospital once or twice a month for speech and language therapy. Then I started on HRT, so hormones. I've been on them since the 4th of December 2018.
Right.
They're great.
So
I love them.
So this is weird because I hate them.
Mm-hmm.
What have they done for you?
Well,
like what has been the effects that you've noticed?
So I feel like the features of my face is like softened down a bit more. I wouldn't say they've completely changed. It's changed like the tone of my skin, like the texture of my skin.
Right.
Feels so much softer. It's changed the shape of my body, so fast distributed to other parts of my body. So like more around like the hip area, I've developed breast tissue.
So what do you call the one that you developed, the breast tissue? Like what's the name?
Looking for hands, babes.
I need it.
No, so there's all different versions. So there's all different methods of HRT. So there's injection, tablet, patch.
So you're on them now for life, obviously.
I'm on the tablet for
Right.
now for life.
Okay.
At the moment, I will be in a form of medication for life for HRT.
Okay.
But I don't know if I'll be in the tablets forever. They can move me on to the injections. They can move me on to the patches. They can move me on to the gels. I have to get reviewed every few years, so I do, and then they just take it from there.
Right. So do you get the mood swings?
Absolutely.
And do you want to kill people?
Absolutely.
Thank God you said that.
Absolutely.
Because now I feel a wee bit less now.
It's not even that I want to kill people. It's just like, it's like rain, hail, thunder, and snow. You get like all these moods, and they change. And I don't think anybody understands unless you're going through it
No.
so quickly.
Men will never understand.
No, they never do.
They don't understand anything anyway. But when it comes
And
to
I used to be
hormones,
one, and I understood. Let me tell you.
I try so hard, not to lose it on the weeks that I know that I'm going to lose it, and I just lose it. So the hormones are hormoning free.
Oh yes,
Things are going
They're
good.
harmonising
They're
in my body. They are fantastic. And I remember I had to come off them 6 weeks before I had gender reassignment surgery. So that's bottom surgery.
Which is what we're going to talk about next. So the hormones are balancing. They have to be at certain levels, do they, before you go ahead and have your physical?
I have to be on them for so long before I can proceed on to the next stage of my transition, which again was gender reassignment surgery. So I had affirmation surgery on the 11th of May, the 11th of February, 2022. So she's almost 3.
I remember speaking to you about it at the time.
You voice noted me after I had surgery. It wasn't long after.
No.
It wasn't long after I voice noted. Or you voice noted me to say that, and like you were congratulating me on how I was. So then we were trying to arrange a catch up, and
never ever happened.
No.
Sure, your vagina's 3, and we still in 3 years, we haven't had a coffee. So what was that process like for you? What was the recovery like? Was it like instant, oh my God, this is amazing? Or was it, oh my God, what did I do?
No, there was never a moment of, oh my God, what did I do? There was that chance because it was an irreversible surgery.
Yeah.
So it is, and I knew I had to do it. I flew over to Brighton by myself. And actually it was during COVID. Well, it was like towards the end of COVID, and I got into London, and I only got to see my best friend. He lives over in London, so I flew over there to get down to Brighton, but I could only see someone before I got to the hotel to quarantine.
Right.
So he met me at the airport. We sat for an hour or two, just chatted, catched up, and well wishes and all before I went for surgery. And then I went down to Brighton. That was me on my own until after.
How long was that? How long were you there?
I was there for a total of 10 days. So wasn't that
gosh.
my friend then flew over from Ireland to come and get me. To fly back home.
That's
so
such a good
someone
friend.
with me. I know.
That's such a good friend.
I'm very blessed with all the friends that
That's
I've
what I was going to
had
say.
in
You
my
have
life.
had so much support from the day and hour that you had come out to them.
Really have. I can honestly say that I am so lucky because I was so open about my transition too.
Aye.
So like in a way I was trying to help others as well to understand me.
Yeah.
So whilst I was trying to understand myself more, I was trying to get other people to, well not trying to, but I was helping other people to understand me to make it easier for them because everybody's going through this with me too. Everybody's transitioning because they're losing a friend but they're also gaining a friend. They're losing a son, a nephew, a cousin, a grandson, and they're gaining a daughter, a granddaughter, a niece, and
so that's what I mean. It's easy for me because I only know you as female.
Mm-hmm.
But for your friends, they might have called you by your old
too.
name
Mm-hmm.
a lot and been like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry."
So
And
what I done was there was like a common thing there. So my old name began with a J. So I told everybody like, because I chose my name when I was like 14 or 15. I chose Jessica.
What made you choose Jessica?
I always wanted like the J.
But you also you're called Jessica Khloe.
Mon, you're saying you know me, babes?
Jessica Khloe Fullerton, but there's another.
Fullerton? Fullerton?
What is it?
Fulton?
Jessica Khloe
Tiffany.
So the
Fulton.
gluttony is bitten out of you. You couldn't just pick one name.
No, so what do you hear, right? So I wanted my first name to be Jessica, my middle name to be Khloe,
Right.
and obviously my maiden name's Fulton, because I'm not married yet.
Right. Don't get married.
So, we'll see.
No.
We'll see. So I asked my parents what they thought of it, and my mum turned around and says to me, "Should you know if you were born a girl, we were going to call you Tiffany?"
No way.
And I was like, right, to make my parents feel like they're a part of this
Yeah.
journey with me, when I went and done my deed poll, I wanted my middle name to be Tiffany.
Right.
And I was like, right, do I drop Jessica, do I drop Khloe? And I was like, no, fuck it, I'm going to be different. Why
Aye.
not? And I says, I'm going to double barrel it. So my first name's Jessica Khloe, my middle name's Tiffany, and my surname's Fulton.
Aye.
So that's how it all came about. And just throughout the last 10 years, I can literally sit and say that I've been through every single emotion. And
So when I'm looking through your Instagram, obviously we're posting all our best pics.
mm-hmm.
What height are you?
6'3",
So you're 6'3"
without heels.
That's what I was going to say, in flats, and you wear heels out, and you
Mhm.
don't wear small heels out.
No.
You wear the 5-inch boys out,
Mm-hmm.
and you're towering over your friends.
Go back or go home.
That to me is confidence. Have you always been that confident, or is it only since you transitioned that you gained this?
Oh no, I never had the
confidence?
confidence beforehand. Like I was always the funny friend, so I was. But like the more I got into my transition, and I was like experimenting with myself in regards to, like fashion and things like that. There, and like, when I got to a point then where I felt comfortable, I was like, I'm probably in one of the most narrow-minded backward cities going, and I'm just not at a point where I'm like, I'm not gonna do this half hog. I'm gonna go full
Aye.
tilt to this.
So, have you ever had like any hate or any name calling and abuse
Mhm.
online and during or physically?
Online, in person, to my face, everything. I can literally sit here and say that I've had it all. And do I know something? See, if you're not paying my bills, I pay you, no mine, babes.
I love that. I love that because that's a recent
If you
thing that
honestly,
I've
if you
started.
don't pay me bills, then I'm not going to pay you any hate. If you're
Aye.
going to throw any hate to me, saying that you're paying my phone bill or my rent, I don't hear nothing about it.
I just always think, why do people feel the need to hate on another person's life that has nothing to do with them? Like, I would never dream of going on and messaging someone and being like, I don't like this about you, or I just would unfollow them if I didn't agree with what they were doing or I didn't like what they were doing.
That's the thing, people can't do that. 'Cause that's
People
probably coming
can't.
from a societal standard point of view. That they're like, well, if other people's not liking this for me to be in this crowd as well, I have to do this too.
So we're going to wrap it up now. We could talk forever and ever and ever,
We really
but
could.
we are on limited time. There's also a storm outside and we need to get home.
And the paparazzi's there too.
The paparazzi trying to get you in and out. Like, I was signing autographs and everything. So, one piece of advice that you would give someone that was in your position when you were going through those early transitioning before you told your parents, what would that one piece of advice be?
You've literally only got so much time here and you really don't know what's beyond.
Aye.
Go out and love. You will probably most likely get hit. You'll most likely get abuse thrown at you. Stand up, stand tall, stand proud.
Aye. Life is too short to be anything but happy. And if that means changing who you are, not changing who you are, but being who you are or anything, I mean, happiness over anything.
I couldn't be happier.
I'm so proud of you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming on.
You're very welcome.
I want to know
Lovely
so
being
much
here.
more, but we can't do it on camera because we will say lots of bad words.
You already said a couple. Well,
Did I say a bad word?
No, I think I did.
No, that's okay because my mommy will kill me. She won't. Is that us out? That we run? Out?
Well done. I've licked it.